Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back, or welcome to another Bangs Audio review. This one is long overdue. Alright, I'm not going to rhyme anymore, sorry. Many times I found myself, when I was watching other reviewers' videos, going, I wonder what they listen, what their source is, right? Like, what do they use? And is it something that I can actually afford, or am I looking at like an $8,000 speaker amp that they're using for earphones and headphones? Looking at you, Zeos Pantera. Anyway, you do you, boo. It's all good. He's earned the right. But for most of us, something like that is a little cray-cray to invest in, especially if our iems or headphones are not that expensive, which mine aren't. So relatively in this hobby, they're not expensive. They can be considered expensive, some of them, to some of you. I get it. We're all in different income brackets. I'm in, I guess, what you would consider to be the middle income bracket in the US. So that's about as far as I'm going to get into it, because that's private. But you can probably tell from what I have that I don't have a ton of money, but I'm not lacking either. So, because everything that you see, everything that I review, I've paid for. Nobody's given me a thing. Boy, it'd be nice someday if somebody would offer to send me stuff for reviews, but maybe that day is coming. Anyway, we'll see. Even if not, doesn't matter. I'm having a blast, like I've said. So sources, right? I initially kind of, alright, this is fine. I bought into it right away. In fact, one of the first purchases I made was the HifiGo Zen DAC V2, which I still use and I still really like a lot. But that's not what this review is about. This review is about the Fiio K11 desktop DAC amp, and the reason for that is because this is what I use for my testing. Like, this is basically it right here. Do I use the Hibi R63? Yeah, but this is, generally speaking, it's portable, so I'm around the house doing stuff, which means I'm not doing really critical listening. I'm just kind of listening. Is this set going to be good for background too? Anyway, so let's take the Hibi out of the equation for most of us. This guy right here, the K11. Of the three desktops that I have the SMSL DL200, I have the HiFi, and I've got the Fiio. And the Fiio, to me, of those three, is the most transparent and the most neutral of the three. With the HiFi, you've got a Burr Brown chipset in there, which definitely lends a little warm past neutral. It's considered a warm neutral DAC amp there. Sorry, probably wasn't in the screen. I like the Fiio brand so much that I have the BTR7 for portability. I have the Q3, which I actually have used as desktop and portable. The BTR7, obviously, that BT is Bluetooth, so it actually handles high-res codecs off Android. So that's a nice option if you want something light and wire-free. Well, wire-free except for your headphones. And the Q3 is a THX certified DAC amp, so that's got its own sort of fun thing going on. But back to the K11. The K11, to me at least, is going to render the most accurate sound from any given set of iems or headphones. So I have used it for anything from the Moondrop Venus to the Focal Elysias to the Thea Audio Ghost to the Harmonic Dyne Athenas over there. as well as all 40 plus of the iems that I have. And I find it really an accurate source. Like, that's the best way that I can put it. It's not really colored, but it's not dead flat either. It has energy to it. In other words, like, if you want dead flat neutral, the SMSL DL200 is dead flat neutral. I don't find it to be a great way to test things because I feel like it almost takes some energy out of the sets in some cases. So that's why I go with the K11. I like how it sounds, and I do feel like it's a very accurate reproduction of the frequency response. So some of the specs here, which I think are pretty great. I'm going to move this box out of the way because we're not going to do an unboxing, but it does come in a decent box. Nothing great, but nothing bad. Just fine. For $130, I don't need an unboxing experience, like a wow experience. I just, it's a waste of packaging for me in that situation. Might not be for you, but for me it is. So I'm just going to read straight off of the Fiio website. It has, and this is at a 32 ohm load, up to 1400 milliwatts of power output. That's at a 32 ohm load, and that is the balanced headphone jack. Okay, so it has two. It's got 6.35 single-ended, so you may need an adapter, and then it's got the 4.4 balanced out. It is a truly balanced output. I know a lot of places or a lot of companies these days are kind of, there's a lot of stuff on my desk, oh my god. I can't find my adapter for it, but anyway, a lot of companies these days, SMSL included, they include a 4.4 jack, but it's not a truly balanced DAC amp. So I guess truly balanced means this. All right, I have done a lot of like sort of research on this, at least a lot of like looking up of stuff. I guess you would call that research. You need to have 2 amplifiers per channel, and they need to be independently amplified from one another in order for it to be fully balanced. Amplifiers, okay? There are some DAC amps that also have dual decoding DAC chips. That might take it to another level, but I don't believe that makes it any more balanced than having those dedicated amps per channel. So on the Fiio, I'm going to bring up the hold on a second here, guys, sorry. Bring up the diagram. I'm sorry if I'm losing people. I probably am. It's a little bit more techy than I usually get into, but it is what it is with this. So, all right, bring this up. So what we have here is this diagram. I'm not even sure is like completely accurate, but there's the DAC chip right there. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4 power supplies working in concert, and that is the balanced out right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you go. 2 per side, 2 per channel. And on the single-ended, you've just got the 2. Okay. Right channel independent amp. Boom. Left channel independent amp. 4 power supplies, 2 power supplies. That's how it works. So I feel like on the Fiio, it's definitely a noticeable difference in volume, just in the ability to get more volume quicker. And that is, I think the way that this is supposed to work is that means that this guy is not working as hard to produce the level of volume that you want to hear. And in that sense, probably is a better quality. Okay, I in theory, I would imagine that's how it's supposed to work, right? Let me actually turn it on. The single-ended sounds absolutely fine, but I just prefer the balanced output. So that's why pretty much all of my IEMs are, with a 4.4 Penacon termination. This has a lot of really fun things too, which I'll get into really quick. It has 6 filters: minimum phase, fast roll off, phase compensated, minimum phase, slow roll off, phase compensated, wideband flatness filter. I don't use that. It's weird and kind of dull. And then the non-oversampling filter, which is basically no filter at all. So I use that a lot for testing. But I also roll through them because why not, right? They're there for a reason. And, there's a different sound to each of them. It's not just there for show, So I don't really know that I'm well versed enough to get into exactly what and why, but I can tell you that there is a difference. So that's pretty cool. It has 3 gain levels. So it has low, medium, and high. So that means that you can adjust accordingly to whether you have very sensitive IEMs or you have very hard to drive headphones. You've got options, which is great. And then it does on the face have a nice display here that'll show you your sample rate, at least in kilohertz there. Volume right there. Do a medium press, gets you into the menu. So there's gain, output, filters. That's the USB, either 1 or 2. And then it has a whole bunch of settings for the display and for the RGB on top. So I don't really mess with those too much. And it's actually got an OTA update ability through the USB. It's USB-C. And you just have to go on the website and download any firmware update that might be available. Allows you to also reset. So if you want to go back to the original state of it, if you didn't like the firmware upgrade for whatever reason, or update for whatever reason, you can go back to factory settings, which is great. I'm actually on factory settings. I'm on version 105. And return just takes you back to the main screen. Very simple, very easy to use, very straightforward, very good sounding, very reasonable price. I like everything about this, and there's nothing that I don't. The amount of inputs you have, dust covers, which is great. You've got an RCA line out, so that can go to speakers if you want. Coax is in and out, and an optical in. So you got SPDIF there too. I just use the USB. I haven't used the other ones. As you can see, all the dust covers are still there, but they are there if you want them. If you need them in your setup, you've got them. Like I said, they packed a ton of stuff into this unit for $130. And the fact that they kept it, in my opinion, really neutral, all the more benefit for using it. That's the Fiio K11, and this is my first adventure into reviewing a DAC amp, so I apologize. It's probably a little choppy, probably a little long, and probably a little bit boring. The next one will be better. But just so you know, for testing, this is my primary. This is what I use to judge, analyze, whatever you want to call it, when I review my earphones and my headphones. I would recommend getting one if you can. If you can't, and you're just using a dongle, USB-C or Lightning, and that's the world you're living in, that's fine. Okay, I'm not passing judgment on anybody based on what their income situation is, or their expendable income situation is. So that's the world you're living in. All good. Okay. I'm just saying, if you can and want to get a DAC amp for your desktop that literally is amazing for the price and packs a lot of features and ins and outs, Fiio K11 checks all of the boxes off. And that's going to conclude the video for the day. Again, thank you all. I feel the love, I feel the support. from everybody, and it is amazing. You guys are making my life better. I hope I'm returning the favor in some small way. So thank you very much. Love y'all. Nothing but peace to you. See ya.